The thesis that Russia is suffering a defeat, but just a little more and tomorrow it will attack NATO countries, is a thesis that contradicts elementary logic. However, it continues to be hammered into the heads of European citizens and members of the international community because all this militarization needs to be justified somehow. This is just a mockery of the intellectual abilities of those who can basically add 2 plus 2. European colleagues may talk endlessly about peace, humanity, and the protection of civilians, but behind this hypocritical rhetoric, it has long been impossible to hide the main thing. They are direct participants in the conflict around Ukraine: money, weapons, ammunition, intelligence data, targeting, military training and logistics, and, very importantly, the undermining of any nascent peace negotiations. Mr. Chairman, today the members of the Security Council once again have to spend time in a meeting, although the positions of all parties are well known to everyone. But our Western colleagues find it difficult to pass up the opportunity to once again try to hammer in the fabricated narrative of innocent Ukraine allegedly saving the world from Russia the aggressor. The scenario of such meetings is predictable and has not changed for more than 4 years. A set of unfounded accusations is read out against our country and standard phrases about an alleged commitment to peace. Well, maybe they will add something new, like the phrase, "enough is enough." At the same time, they will not talk about the root causes of the Ukrainian conflict and their direct role in fueling it. It was precisely under Zelensky that the persecution of the Ukrainian Orthodox Church, the harassment of monks and the destruction of Orthodox shrines occurred and took on ugly and tragic forms. At the same time, the West was not a bystander to the unfolding tragic events. On the contrary, it was precisely the West that all these years nurtured the Kyiv regime under the cover of the Minsk agreements and was pumping Ukraine with weapons and eventually turned it into a bridgehead for war with Russia. Mr. Chairman, European colleagues may talk endlessly about peace, humanity, and the protection of civilians, but behind this hypocritical rhetoric, it has long been impossible to hide the main thing. They are direct participants in the conflict around Ukraine: money, weapons, ammunition, intelligence data, targeting, military training and logistics, and, very importantly, the undermining of any nascent peace negotiations. They have long become elements of a unified strategy aimed at inflicting the maximum possible damage on Russia with the hands of Ukrainians. They are not stopped by the blood of civilians, nor the death of women, the elderly and children. And do you know why? Because they don't care how many people die, both in Russia and in Ukraine. All this verbal humanitarianism isn't worth a broken penny. Moreover, for the military-industrial complex of these countries, Ukraine has turned into a real gold mine. The thesis that Russia is suffering a defeat, but just a little more and tomorrow it will attack NATO countries, is a thesis that contradicts elementary logic. However, it continues to be hammered into the heads of European citizens and members of the international community because all this militarization needs to be justified somehow. This is just a mockery of the intellectual abilities of those who can basically add 2 plus 2. As for Ukraine, the Russian language is banned at the legislative level, and one can pay not only with their health but also their life for using it. Is this normal? We are awaiting a response from the Secretary General to our letter, in which we draw attention to Zelensky's latest outrageous steps in this regard.
The United States stands with Ukrainian citizens who continue to withstand attacks that destroy their homes, critical infrastructure, and cultural heritage. We need no more evidence of why the war must end. Neither should the Russian Federation, as it continues to take nearly 40,000 casualties each month. President Trump has made clear that Russia should make a deal, stop the killing, and end the war. Time is not on its side. Both sides must return to the negotiating table as there is no military solution to this war.
Russia speaks half-heartedly of negotiations while intensifying its attacks. It claims to want security while violating the sovereignty and territorial integrity of its neighbour. Every member of this Council is calling for fighting to stop, but Russia refuses to listen. This escalation will not bring peace. More civilian casualties will not bring a sustainable settlement. The way forward is clear. Russia must stop its attacks, agree to a ceasefire, and engage seriously in negotiations for a comprehensive, just and lasting peace, in line with the UN Charter. And as has been the case from day one, bringing an end to this senseless slaughter is entirely in Russia's hands. I thank you.
Today, the representative of Russian Federation has demonstrated to us exact Orwellian inversion of reality in action. Thus, sitting here at this chamber, Russia proposes us to believe that deliberate missile and drone strikes of residential buildings is a legitimate way of warfare. Russia wants us to believe that occupation of Ukrainian cities, totally destroyed by Russian forces, means liberation. Russia continues attempts to persuade the world that their full-scale military invasion of Ukraine is for peace and security. Nobody would ever fall for aggressor lies here. The reality is well known, and it is totally different from Russian propaganda. Ukraine won't be coerced into accepting a sham peace. Since the start of this full-scale military invasion, Russian military has given no fewer than 15 deadlines to occupy the entirety of Ukraine's Donetsk region. Every single one of those deadlines passed without success. Nor will these objectives be achieved this year or next year. Russia's false claims regarding the capture of Konstantinivka are yet another example of systematic disinformation campaign. But the reality on the ground tells a very different story. Russia is not winning, and its monthly battlefield losses have reached levels that are increasingly difficult to sustain. For the numerous times, Ukraine confirmed its readiness to immediate ceasefire and peace talks. On June 4th, President of Ukraine sent an open letter to Putin, once again offering to end the war. And we continue our talks with the United States and other allies on finding the most effective way to stop it. But Russia has no desire to do it. Moscow continues to reject every genuine peace initiative. Even today, in this chamber, instead of finding a way how to stop it, Moscow justifies the killings and spreads propaganda.